What is going on, YouTube? It's Matt Faircloth. Welcome to Mentorship Monday. Let me bring in my partner, Justin Fraser. Justin, come on in.
Hey. How's it going, man?
How are you, man?
I'm doing great.
Our guest today is one of DeRosa Insiders. Come on, bring him in, Justin. This is my man,
Scott.
Hey,
Hello
Scott.
there, Matt. Hello,
Here's everybody. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good.
I know you had a question, but let's get to it, man. What do you got?
My question really revolves around passive investing as a limited partner. There's lots of places, lots of people that might be offering deals. But how do you vet those sponsors? How do you know that you can trust those sponsors? That's the root of the question.
Right. So once you've drank the Kool-Aid and realized that Wall Street is not the only place to build your wealth, then you got to make that decision of, okay, well, now I'm in. I get it. I want to invest in a syndication or invest with an operator that I can touch and feel and have their. I mean, Scott's got my cell phone number, so he can. Those that you invest with, you end up having a tighter relationship with than the CEO from Microsoft or in some ways even your financial planner, because you can be a little more active in where your money's going and things you're up to, right? Or at least with us that you can. But the question is, where do you go, right? I get that. I feel it, Scott. And I've done some passive investing on my own. Some ended up well and some ended up not so well because they chose the wrong operator. So I feel it. What I would say, and before I should plug a good friend of mine's book that's about this. That's Brian Burke, the fellow Bigger Pockets contributor. Justin and I are good buddies with him. He's a phenomenal guy, great operator, has thousands of multifamily under management, also manages a bunch of fix and flips. And he wrote a book called The Hands-Off Investor. That's a Bigger Pockets book. He does it's a very book. Yeah, it's a great book. So you should pick that up because it's a $20 investment in your own education. But that book is about picking the right operators, and it's also it's gloves off. I mean, he talks about how operators can dupe you, not like in a scare tactic way, but things to look out for and levers that operators can pull to tweak IRR and things like that to make things look a little sunnier and happier than they actually are. That's Brian Burke's book. So that's my 2 cents. Justin, what are some thoughts you've had on how folks like Scott that want to be passive? Scott, I happen to know Scott and his wife both love what they do. And that, which, by the way, Scott, I want to make sure we plug your wife's website for her soap business for the 25,000 people that are watching so they can all pick up a bar of soap. And that from you guys, because they make phenomenal soap made from goat's milk. It's incredible. My son loves it. I love it. It's good stuff. But anyway, for folks that love what they do, Justin, as I understand talking to you, man, you're 100% fine being passive investor. You don't ever want to quit and do this full time. And there's many people like you out there.
Oh yeah,
so what do people do?
I work a full-time job. I work as an engineer for a semiconductor company, which I'm very happy at doing that. And I do have a duplex that I own locally to me. And one of the biggest things I learned out of that is I don't want to be the landlord.
For sure.
So I'd much rather invest passively.
So Scott, I'm going to assume a few things, right? You like what you're doing, right? You already said you don't like being a landlord. You don't like having your hands in it. And that's great. That's perfectly okay. So, for you, you've got to figure out who do you know, like, and trust before you make an investment decision, right? And we hear those words a lot. And so from our perspective, we're always thinking, how do I get more people to know me, like me, and trust me? And so, for you, let's say you're starting fresh. You're like, I want to invest in somebody's deal. I love real estate. I want to be in a syndication. Well, who, right? And that's really the question that you're asking. So we start with who do you know, right? And know is a very broad term, but who do you know in terms of what podcasts are you listening to, right? Are you listening to, my podcast, Matt's YouTube channel? Are you listening to any great operator? Lots of operators have podcasts for this very reason, because they're trying to get the word out so that more and more people know them. So once you know me, right, you've heard of me basically, right? Now you have to like me and trust me, which is the next level. And so maybe you're going to reach out and schedule a call with me. And what's that process like? Do I get back to you in time? Do I blow you off for a while and catch up later on? Am I someone that is willing to give you, 30 minutes of my time, an hour to sit down and have a Zoom call or an in-person meeting and talk about what we do and how we operate? And so you start to pick up on building sort of this resume of know, like, and trust through all the little interactions that we can have over and over again.
Okay. Some of that is what I have been doing. I have been listening to some podcasts, and one that you did, Justin, in particular with Shannon Ludlow, that really kind of got me going and looking at some of this and looking for operators. And I have listened to a number of the podcasts, and I have reached out and had a couple of those conversations with people.
Great. But, so that's a great, sort of first step, right? So now you're starting to build a list of who's doing this, right? And so let's say you find, 5 operators that, are possibilities that you have a pretty good feeling, kind of know what they're doing, and they seem to have a track record. Now you've got to do like a next level of evaluation, in that you want to look at the past deals that they've done. You want to then even possibly talk to past investors, right? We have people asking us all the time to speak to past investors, get references, see how, how do we communicate? How do we do what we say we're going to do? If we can't do it, how do we talk about it? And so you sort of, it's like a really in-depth interview about every aspect, because at the end of the day, you don't want to lose your money, right? Of course you want an upside and you want all the benefits, but you really don't want to lose your money. And so that's the end of the day question, is who are you going to put your money with where you're not going to lose it? And you don't want to get scammed, and you don't want someone to go take it for a ride. And you want someone that's going to be a good steward of this money that you're working really hard for. Right. And so you've got to go through that whole evaluation to figure out through that know, like, and trust process, and then the credentials, and then the referrals.
Okay. I think all that's awesome. I'll throw so yes to everything Justin just said, but I'll throw a few things on top of that. And right, basic stuff. Is this syndicator transparent? Are they going to give you view inside on what's going on? So the way you determine that is you ask them how they're going to keep you in the loop. You're going to send me monthly emails. You're going to, have like an online community like we do, whatever it is. How is it? Or are you going to just, call me when the money's ready kind of thing? Obviously talk to other investors that have worked with them if you're open to taking referrals. Although remember, for references, people put references up on a pedestal. Nobody's going to give you people that are mad at them, or people that they screwed over, or people that like. So when I rarely ask for references for people I do business with. I look for friends to refer me to somebody. I'll take a referral over a reference all day long. The reason why is that if I ask a contractor for a reference or somebody I'm going to work with, they're going to give me their best customer ever that's going to sing their praises. That's, to me, references are BS, because nobody's ever going to give you someone that's not happy with them. This is fair enough. Right? Fair enough. Yeah. Now, next thing is transparency, right? Vulnerability. Ask them about a time that things went sour. Like, hey, listen, tell me about a time that you screwed up, or that the deal didn't go the right way that you thought it was going to go, or that that things went south and you ended up having to recorrect or course correct or make it right, or got it, or that you wrapped things around a tree and you couldn't fix it, whatever it was. Tell me about that. And if somebody says, I've been in business for 15 years and I've never screwed up, next. Next, because you're a liar, things
we all screw up.
We do, and things go awry in this business. And so if they're not willing to admit to any mistake they've ever made, then move on, because it's just not the way of being you want to have as someone as a syndicator. And you want them to be able to learn from their mistakes and admit. And also, more importantly, if they admit things are going to go wrong in this business, but they can show you that they can course correct around errors, then that's a horse I would ride.
That's really what I was going to say, Matt. And is like, one is, are they going to admit that they made a mistake? But two is, what have you done about it? Because if you don't want someone that's going to make that same mistake over and over, or like, okay, we made a mistake on one, we changed our business plan so we don't look for a deal like that, and we don't operate that way, or we don't spend money in the same way. Like, there's a million ways that you have to learn and grow and evolve. And if you can't speak to that, and you can't show that you're growing as an operator, then I'd be nervous putting my money with you.
I've made tons of mistakes, and it's about the mistake. It's about what I learned and what I did to correct it.
Yeah. Right.
But that's really what matters. It doesn't matter. Have you had a mistake? Well, I sure hope so. you know?
Right.
So
those are really learning opportunities.
yeah, if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
You know?
And I just want to point out that we're 15 minutes into this conversation so far. We have not yet once mentioned the deal, right? Because which is the vehicle you're actually putting your money into. But it's so important that it's the operator first and then the deal, right? It's someone that you have to know and trust before you even think about. Because I could tell you I've got the best ROI and return for you, but if you don't trust me and I don't have the record to back it up, then it's all baloney, right? So
the deal's BS,
it's about
man.
the person first. Yeah.
The deal's secondary. It has to do, like, Scott's invested with us in a project in Trenton, so he has to believe in Trenton, has to believe in the deal, believe the numbers work and all that. But I'd be willing to bet, Scott, you vetted me first before you vetted that deal. Right?
Absolutely.
Because if it's like the biggest like, shyster on the planet's offering you a great deal in Lower Manhattan at like half the price, I'm still not going to invest. I don't care what you got, man. I don't trust you, you know?
Right. And some of that was from Bigger Pockets and watching some of your videos on YouTube and stuff. And that's how I got to know you and how I got into contact with you.
Don't put it on Bigger Pockets, because Bigger Pockets has had people that it's not on them. They can't vet everybody. So people should hear this. Just because someone's been on the Bigger Pockets podcast does not mean they have high integrity. Bigger Pockets doesn't vet people like that. They can't.
No.
They're not going to do background checks and stuff like that. They've had people that were running that ended up being bad operators and screwed people over. And Bigger Pockets did the right thing. They took their podcast down.
Yep.
So there are podcasts you can't listen to anymore. And all that were people that were maybe bad actors, right? At the end of the day, just because someone's on BP is really all BP is a megaphone. You still need to go and vet the person. Now, our YouTube channel is different because we put a lot of what we're doing out there. Then our transparency is on YouTube. That's on us. I mean, that's us saying, hey, look at what we're doing, and this is our project, and we're exposing ourselves here and everything like that. So our YouTube channel is a little different, but I wouldn't put Bigger Pockets up on a pedestal as an integrity measure. All that is a megaphone.
Well, it's just the know
very
part,
much what you're saying. That's where I first heard of you. I first heard your name.
Yes.
I was attending one of your webinars on Bigger Pockets. And then from there, I went to your YouTube channel, watched some stuff. And then from there, I got in contact with you. We had a phone call.
Good. No, and I'm not giving you, I'm not coming back on what you were saying. I'm really just using it as a learning opportunity for those watching.
Yeah. And I just want to point out, what Scott just said was exactly, he heard of Matt, the No from Bigger Pockets podcast. He started liking Matt by the YouTube channels. He likes what he's saying. He's going back for more. And he started trusting him when they started meeting together and talking about how they could work together. So you move through that progression, right? And Matt's not the only person that you have heard on Bigger Pockets or seen a posting or a video of. But you got to start with the bigger funnel and work your way down to the people that you're going to actually do business with. Yeah.
Right.
Great, man. So we had another guest for this show. I guess they haven't showed up yet, huh?
Listen, I gotta. It's actually a little bit intertwined with what Scott's saying on the other side of it, and I do want to mention this a little bit because we did have another guest lined up, and that guest question was centered all around raising money. They are their partnership team that has some deals in progress that are about to close in the next few weeks, and they need some more money. And so their question was around, how do I raise money for this deal? My family's tapped out. My close friends are tapped out. How do I raise money? Right. And it's exactly in line with the same conversation that we just had. I would have loved to have that conversation on a reputation. Because Scott, let's say you've got a ton of money and you're ready to invest in someone, and you're like, oh, look, there's great, young guys that are operating, but they didn't show up on time for the presentation, for the meeting the question that they asked for us, right?
That's not sounding good, very good. Not very good.
Exactly. Right? So right off the bat, you're out.
Yeah. And I think that there's only, you've only got a few things in life. You got your track record and you got your word. And if you're not, listen, I'm not going to say I've been on time for everything I've ever done. And I have blown meetings. I blew off, I'd screwed up and had the date wrong for the Joe Fairless podcast one time and missed it, so I couldn't go on the Joe Fairless podcast, but I cleaned it up immediately and I called him, apologized, whatever. And I was very embarrassed about that. But if you just kind of operate haphazardly through life, that maybe you make appointments, maybe you don't, investors are going to be very turned off by that. I would be turned off by that. And let's keep their name confidential, because I don't want to,
Sure.
I mean, even though I was tempted to throw them out there, let's not be jerks about it.
No.
Not be jerks about it. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't give these two a nickel. I wouldn't. Of my own money, or I would recommend my investors do not invest with these guys, because unless they got to fix their integrity measure.
Well, let me tell you, I've sent, since we started here, I got a message, and the response was, we didn't realize it was still happening, and can we do it tomorrow instead?
No.
Exactly. Because guess what? They got the same email that Scott got, right? And Scott was here on time. He was here before me today, right?
Opportunity knocks once, man. Opportunity knocks once. And we could have helped those dudes and put them on.
You got a calendar invite. You got like a follow-up from our, it's just like there's a whole process.
25,000 people. I could have put them in front of 25,000 people to talk about their deal and to talk about it and everything like that. So
the lesson learned is like, you have to show up, you have to do what you're going to say. And I'm actually even more upset about the response that I got of like, oh, let's just do it tomorrow, because that's, that's not right. That's not how you ask
about that for a second. If you've got an investor that wants to put 50K, 100K into your deal, and you can't get your act together to get on Spotlight and have a one-on-one call with them, right? Number one. And you're like, okay, can we do it tomorrow? I don't know, man. You don't really respect other people's time in that. And I know these guys are younger, but guess what? I've seen people that are around their age, early 20s, operate at high level integrity. So you can't write it off to that either. So people can change in that. And I used to not honor my word as much as I do now in that. But it's important to learn that lesson early in life if you want to be successful, is that your word is one of the few things you got. And if you honor your word and are integrity and are willing to be vulnerable with people about mistakes you've made, then honor your word. And when you do something, do it. And be willing to own your track record. And my guess is these two, because of their age, don't really have much of one. Be willing to own that. And hey, take a shot on me. I probably would take a shot on somebody if they were vulnerable and were high integrity. I was like, I think I'll take a shot. But Scott, I bet you would too. You might not need to see 15 years worth of experience like I have. It's like, hey, listen, if you seem like you're willing to be vulnerable about it and be transparent and be honest, I'll give a shot.
Listen, at the end of the day,
open to that, sure.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like, if you don't have the experience, you got to make up for it and be really on point with everything else. You really got to be.
I got no experience. I can't show up on time to things.
Right.
I don't value other people's time.
Right.
So,
you can get away with maybe not having one of those things. Right.
And I'm going to give Justin a song and dance about the deal that I got, and everything like that. Right. Yeah. It's like, no.
Right. So, not to get too far down the rabbit hole of pointing that out about these guys, but in general, it directly aligns with everything we talked about with Scott, because, these guys on a much smaller scale, but someone like Scott, who might be looking to place money into a syndication, or maybe a hard money loan, or maybe any kind of, Scott's a smart guy. I'm sure he's open to creative financing ideas on things. You never know. This could have been a perfect opportunity conversation that we all would have had, but opportunities lost, opportunities gone. And it's unfortunate. And I feel bad for those guys, because it's a hard lesson that you have to learn. And guys, if you're watching, because we are going to send this to you, hopefully
I want to tell them, hey, listen, we gave them advice in the recording, send them this recording. They can hear our buddy Scott talking about what he wants to hear from a passive. This is a perfect recording for those looking to raise money. Cause this is what to do and what not to do,
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, guys, Scott, thank you. I don't want to tie you up for the rest of your day, man. I appreciate you taking time out. Thanks, Scott, for being on, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate all the advice.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Have a great and profitable